Jay Thomas Morning Blend. Apple Music releases its inaugural 100 best albums of all time. That is all time. Today, I have Apple Music Hits Award winning host Jayde Donovan. Good morning, Jayde. How are you?
Great to be here, James. Thank you for having me.
Well, thank you for joining us. So today is an exciting day for music lovers. The morning Apple Music revealed the final top 10 albums on the list of 100 best albums of all time. Now, again, how does this tell us about what inspired Apple Music to make this list and why make this list now?
Those are great questions. It has been such a labor of love, and we've had a lot of healthy debate and maybe some unhealthy debate about the topic of music, which is so personal, especially when it comes to celebrating albums as a whole and as an art form. And that was really the approach that we have, is just really taking a thoughtful approach at if we were to put a list together of the 100 best albums that we can think of all time, let's take a modern 21st century approach to it, to the greatest list ever made. And so we went, as opposed to other lists that are centered in like the 60s or 70s, we skewed it up and decided to center that focus in the 90s. And so what I think that did is, hip hop has 22 albums on this list. I think it's so incredibly powerful to see how hip hop has driven pop culture for the last 40 years. So we're able to include titles that maybe hadn't got shine on other lists, like Snoop Dogg Doggy Style, The Chronic, 50 Cent, you know what I mean? Jay-Z's Blueprint, Kendrick Lamar is on here. And then, of course, seeing so many women on this list is so empowering. And especially in the top spot, Lauryn Hill, the miseducation of Lauryn Hill coming in at number one. James, you feel me on this one. You agree with this?
Yes. So, how do we even begin to whittle down a list to just 100?
It is so difficult. It was an enormous challenge, honestly, to try to find consensus because, as we talked about, these are such personal choices. The albums that resonated with you as an individual, not basing it on streaming numbers, not basing it on commercial success, but what album really told a story that held us to a moment in time? What album really from top to bottom, like all the way through, is just has that crock pot listen effect where you can set it and forget it, listen to the whole thing. It was really difficult, but we were led by our editorial team here at Apple Music. We reached out and got input from huge stars like Pharrell, big artists, Nile Rodgers, Maren Morris, Balvin. That's just to name a few, but songwriters, producers, and we cast this wide net and we said, hey, what albums mean the most to you today? And you can, any in the last 65 years, any genre, go. And so as you can imagine, narrowing that down to 100 was difficult.
Okay, now how is Apple's Music 100 Best Albums list different than most lists that are out there?
I think as we just touched on, James, it's really, lists in previous times really focused around the 60s and 70s. It was a lot of records that my parents listened to, and those legends are included on this list. But it also gave us an opportunity by really focusing, starting our focus in the 90s, to include these artists in the 90s and 2000s. Now that we've able to spend more time with. And I think that's what makes it really special. And there's so many women on this list. There's so many hip hop records, so many rock records. We've got those. We've got pop. We've got a little bit of everything.
So, what brings us to Apple's music debut of the top 10 albums on their 100?
What brings us to what? Sorry.
What brings us to Apple's music debut of the top 10 albums on their 100 best list was just went live a few minutes ago on Apple Music.
It's been such an exciting day. This countdown has been on for days and days. Every day for the last 10, we've only given you albums 100 to, 91, 90 to 81. And so now here we are. The full list is available. And so I'll run down the top 10 for you if you'd like, James.
Yes, please.
All right. So coming into number 10, we have Beyonce Lemonade. At number 9, Nirvana Nevermind. Number 8, Amy Winehouse, Back to Black. Kendrick Lamar at number 7, Good Kid, Mad City. Stevie Wonder at number 6, Frank Ocean Blonde at number 5, Purple Rain from Prince of the Revolution at 4, The Beatles' Abbey Road at number 3, Michael Jackson Thriller at number 2, and the number 1 album on Apple Music's 100 Best Albums, The Miseducation of Lauryn Hill by Lauryn Hill.
Wow, that's a list. Jayde, where can people go to check out Apple Music's few list of the 100 best albums of all time?
Well, of course, you can always go to Apple Music if that's easy for you, but we also curated a beautiful microsite for you to check out that has context for all the albums. It's so lovely. Please go to 100best.music.apple.com.
Ooh, Jay, thank you so much for joining us on Morning Blend. Jay Donovan, Apple Music Hits award-winning host, talking about the top 100. Woo, Lauryn Hill, number one. I love it.
I love that you hear me. That was one of my picks, James.
I
Good
tell
to be
you.
with you. Thank you so much.
Thank you.